All right, how's it going, guys? So we're here with Uber Freight. We are in San Francisco. They brought me out to do an interview. We are here with
Eric Berdinas. I'm the product manager for Uber Freight.
And I'm Bob Chappius, Senior Operations Manager for Uber Freight.
All right, I would like to thank you guys for bringing me out here to do this
Thank you.
and for accepting the responsibility of answering subscriber questions. You're not scared, are you?
No, not at all.
You look scared. Give it a second. Hold on. All right, so this question is fairly basic, but it's kind of important. So we're going to try it the polite way. Who are you, and what do you want from us being drivers?
Yeah. So I've been on this team since the beginning, back when Uber was really first thinking about should we build something for truck drivers and for the community of truck drivers. Uber as a company started with ride sharing, and it provided jobs for millions of drivers, not only in the US, but around the world. But that doesn't just apply to people who have cars. You know, there's also professional drivers who work with limos and black cars, even thinking in other industries that, we started thinking about trucking. Can the same kind of idea of flexibility of work and transparency in how you pay and where you drive and how you want to, make money in your life, can that apply to other people besides people of cars?
Right.
And it's bringing that opportunity to the community and to drivers, which is what really drove us to expanding what Uber does to the freight industry.
Yeah, transparency. We'll talk about that because that's, if you know drivers, it's definitely about transparency. We need to know everything right off the bat. So that transparency is very important. All right, so what is the objective or goal of Uber Freight? What is it attempting to accomplish? And how will this affect the trucking industry?
Yeah, so when we first started learning about trucking and learning about the needs of both drivers and of shippers, that transparency piece came up over and over again. It was why is there a middleman? Why can I not learn everything about the load? Do I trust the person who's in the middle giving me all the right information? Is this the right price? Am I getting screwed? Am I not getting screwed? So the product that we built was a way for drivers to have all the information and control in their hands.
Right.
So you open up the app, you see the exact load, you know who the shipper is, you know where it picks up, where it drops off. Is it an appointment? Is it a window? But most importantly, here's the price. And $800, right? Mm-hmm. That's not $800 minus a quick pay fee or minus some service fee or whatever else. You'll see that $800 in your bank account in 2 or 3 days. That's this level of perfect transparency and clarity that Uber brought to the ride sharing side that we want to bring to the freight industry as well.
What role will Uber Freight have in the logistics chain?
So Uber Freight is the service that sits between a shipper and a driver, but in a way that it can present the loads to the driver, so the driver can control and book what they want. We believe that we can create a much stronger community and network of drivers and shippers. So Uber Freight wants to be a platform that both drivers and shippers want to interact with in order to access, for the driver side, access freight that they might not have ever been able to access before. And on the shipper side, there's lots and lots of small carriers that are really high quality carriers that they don't have access to. So Uber Freight really bridges that gap and brings supply and demand together in that way.
So you can actually be a gateway for guys, or for smaller companies to come in. They never could get in before because they don't have the volume, but you might have a load that could get them in the door.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right, so now we're talking about what role does Uber Freight have in the logistics chain. So why do you want to be part of the logistics chain, which you actually kind of explained there, and how do you want to do that?
Mm-hmm. So I guess it comes down to what is Uber's goal in life as a company, and Uber's mission is to make transportation as reliable as running water, and that means that when you make transportation really simple and easy, a lot of really magical things happen. And on the ride sharing side, that means that people who lived in neighborhoods that didn't have access to buses or public transportation, now they have access to really affordable transportation they can get to wherever they want in the city. Mm-hmm. And it opens up new businesses, it opens up new opportunities for those people to get places and to have opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise. In the freight world, we actually kind of think it's the same way. When you make finding and booking loads a lot simpler and a lot easier, it can open up opportunities for drivers to be home more, or to go the routes that they like to go on, or for shippers to have more flexibility if they want to move a load the next day because they know that it's going to be better for their network versus moving it today. These are the kind of opportunities that we think, not only is it good for the drivers and shippers, but it's good for the world as a whole. When you make these opportunities available, it creates a more seamless and reliable transportation system. And the U.S. relies on trucking. We wouldn't be here with our chairs and our jackets and our food or anything else without trucking. And to remove a lot of the friction and pain points in that industry, it's great for the shippers and drivers, but it's great for consumers too. It makes the goods that they get, you can bring it to them in a more efficient and scalable way, and it makes the drivers happy.
Yeah. Something coming into the space that's new, and something that coming into the space that does not want to take from us is something that we need, whether we all realize it or not. All right, so what sets Uber Freight apart from already established freight companies?
To us, it really comes back to why are we here and what's important to us. And for us, everything's about the driver. From day one, we've set really high bar for ourselves in how we treat our drivers and what kind of opportunities we give to our driver community. And that goes from the loads we get, it goes to the product that we're building, it goes to the community and outreach and events that we put on. You don't see any other brokers kind of going above and beyond and taking the extra mile on some of those things. So I can give you some examples. We've talked about the product a little bit, but just the idea of booking a load and you get the rate confirmation right away. It's such a simple thing that you want a load and it's yours. Where a lot of other brokers, they'll tell you over the phone you got this, and then maybe they'll try to shop it around and find someone cheaper, and then they canceled it or whatever that is. There's simple things that just how we respect drivers and the time that they put into doing their job, and giving them the benefit of the doubt if something goes wrong, that we think we're setting a higher bar than a lot of other players out there.
All the points to make sure that driver can go get that load is like an hour.
Yeah.
People faxing and emailing and all this nonsense. It makes people insane.
And especially with the mandate coming out this year, we know that the number of hours you have is important to be able to maximize the time that you're spending.
Yeah.
And being able to snap a picture of your BOL, or being able to see all the loads, hit book, and you're done. You're not on the phone back and forth forever and dealing with people. That's hours and hours back that you get that now you can spend making money and doing more business.
At the end of the year, it all adds up to like a week or more, somewhere around that you actually saved, that you didn't have to deal with other people, which we tend to not like to do. We don't like to deal with people. We like efficiency, fast, quick, and go away. That's how we kind of work.
And then I'll add one more thing. So beyond just the product and the loads themselves, we want to create a community where drivers can talk about problems in the industry and actually interact with us directly. So we put on driver appreciation events. We've done big barbecues. We're at Mats and Gats. We want to be in a place where we can get that direct feedback. We can take that, put it into the app, make our service offering better, and make this really the driver first place to get loads.
No, I agree. I think what I like about Uber Freight so far is we say these things about we're driver forward, we say we're driver obsessed, but we actually do things to support that. So like Eric mentioned, we have appreciation events, but we also look at what are the biggest driver pain points. And one thing that kept coming up originally when we first launched was I spend so much time sitting and waiting at shippers and waiting at receivers, and not enough time actually driving and making money.
Right.
And we kind of put our heads together and we realized that that is probably, if not the biggest pain point, one of the biggest pain points. And so we decided to publicly share with our community what our detention and accessorial rates would be, and we believe that they are leading rates in the industry, and we want drivers to appreciate that and understand that we've got their backs while they're sitting and waiting at shippers and receivers, that the drivers that are using our app are getting paid for that time.
That's big.
Yeah.
Y'all have an interesting way of doing this. So what about detention and layover? How do you guys take care of that?
Yeah. So again, when we first launched, we were all about solving driver problems first, and the biggest problem was we thought detention and layover. And as I mentioned before, drivers sit and they wait and they're not necessarily getting paid, or they just don't know if they will or won't get paid because the broker that they're calling isn't answering or whatever. And we wanted to let drivers know that we had their back. So if you're on time to your pickup and you are detained and then you leave, you'll get paid after 2 hours. After 2 hours, $75 an hour, which in my mind is something that we do to show drivers that we have their back. And I should also mention that unlike some other providers, we'll pay that out. I wouldn't say no questions asked, but it's like we know when you're in the shipper and we know when you leave. So there's no sort of like, oh, I checked in and I waited in line. Like we know that you were there, so we're going to pay you for your time.
And this is via the app.
Yeah.
So the app tracks all that.
Yeah, we know when you got there. So if the shipper comes back to us and says, oh, they weren't actually there, we deal with that and we pay the driver that $75 an hour. We know that they were there.
Right. So that's interesting. You're paying it.
Yeah.
It's coming out of you guys, and then you go fight for the.
Yep. And when we pay, I mentioned like every 2 to 3 days, they'll see that detention payment then, even if it takes us a few weeks or a month to get collect it from the shipper.
That's good. That's actually a very good point.
And on the, let's say the shipper were to cancel, right? A truck order not used, that happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. We'll actually pay $2 a mile for every mile the driver drove to get to that pickup.
Okay.
That's paying them for empty miles because we know that time is valuable, right? They could have used that time on a different load and not gotten canceled.
Yeah, that fuel's not cheap, especially when it's dead fuel. So you guys are taking care of the driver, and you guys are also basically taking care of them if the load cancels on them. So you guys are taking care of that. You'll get yours on the back end later down the road, but you're going to take care of the drivers first.
Yep.
All right. That's big. You don't even know. Out of 11 and a half years of driving, how many times have I gotten detention? Maybe 4, maybe. And I'm doing this one because maybe ever. Mm-hmm. And that's because the companies won't fight for it. Nobody will fight for it, even though you sat there for 9, 12, 13 hours.
Yep.
Nobody will fight for it. So all that time was wasted. So that's very good. I like that. All right, so who's taking care of lumpers? Who's got the lumpers?
Yep. So we treat lumpers as a pass-through. So if, let's say, you deliver at a grocery outlet and there's a lumper, we take care of all that.
So they contact Uber to get the com check or the FS check, or do you guys have accounts with these places?
We have accounts with some, and then there are some that we don't. But at the end of the day, yes. Like if you are going into a shipper and there's a lumper, then we will pay that out. You'll pay it.
Yeah. Right. So you'll issue the com check.
Yep.
You'll issue the code. Okay. So what's your percentage on that right now? With account and not account?
We don't charge any like interest or any fee for quick payments. Mm-hmm. We'll probably get into this a little bit later, but our payment terms are between the time that we collect a legible POD. You'll get paid within 7 days for no fee.
Okay. Your quick pay.
Quick pay, and we do that because we know that cash flow is a big pain point, and we want to make sure that you're empowered to run your business.
There you go.
So we do that at no fee.
All right. So this one, I'm going to quote this particular question. This is a question from the owner-operator, Mr. Mark State. Why should owner-operators get in early, being early on Uber Freight, on limited cheap freight and help Uber build into a better freight over time? Where is the benefit to us for improving your freight network? Why should I, and I'm quoting I, not hang back and just wait a couple of years and let the suckers do all the early heavy lifting? Thank you, Mr. Mark State, for that question.
So I can talk about this. As I mentioned before, like one of the things that we value the most about our early users is the feedback that they give us into the product and into how we build the service. So if it wasn't for the people who we first started working with who said detention sucks, or transparency, like why can't we see the price, or why can't we get the rate card right away? These are the things that, because we got that feedback, we're like, let's do that. Let's do this the right way. And for anyone who's joining the platform now, they have a voice as to how freight and trucking should work. This is even though we're here working on Uber Freight, it's really the voices of the drivers that we're building into the service, into the product that we're working on. So, for anyone who wants to join now, every load that gets taken on the app is an opportunity for feedback to help us improve and build out the service to make it work for these folks.
Right.
Now, cheap freight, suckers, all that stuff, We actually think that our rates are pretty competitive, and we are trying to scale in as much and fast as we can. We know that sometimes there's not always loads in the areas that our drivers want.
Right.
But knowing where they're signing up, let's say we have a lot of drivers signing up in Oklahoma City, we'll go after and find loads in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Getting in early gets you that opportunity to scale with us, give feedback, and coming up, there's gonna be a lot of events and other things that we do that are really driver focused. And being part of the Uber Freight community, you have access to those things that you wouldn't have access later on.
And also, there's no commitment to signing up for Uber Freight, so you can call in, you can go on our lead gen form, which is freight.uber.com, and fill out all your information. And once you do that, you don't ever have to select a load. Every load's optional, so you'll see every load that is available in our network. You'll see the price, the weight, the commodity, all that good stuff, and then you could choose to take a load or not take a load. And there's no charge to download the app. There's no fee. There's no percent taken if you take it. So it's totally by choice.
Yeah. So you're not contracted.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go or not go. Okay.
Yep.
So there's no penalizing for not taking an Uber Freight load 6 months or anything like that. You're not knocked off.
Yeah, you could sign up and just look at it and see how the offering is changing over 6 months, and then decide to start working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of people that think we charge just for the download.
Right.
But we definitely don't. We want drivers to download our app, and it's free and it's out there. So.
Okay. Yeah. So don't use it. You don't get knocked off. It's there whenever you want it.
That's the whole thing about flexibility.
Yeah.
We want to make it work for the schedules and styles of each driver that joins.